Now, the rest of the story.
I just wanted you guys to see this because I've been using the monitor and guidance down here on the bottom when I'm spraying, which is going pretty good. But I've been using the same lines. I've been repeating them for this is probably my third or fourth year doing it now. And you can actually see the lines from the 4640 when I've sprayed in the past. So only one single set of tracks. I don't think the duals make that much of a difference. I mean, because I had the duals on last year. But duals actually I would rather have on, especially spraying like this, because less compaction. Because I'm willing to bet that right there on these two tire tracks, imagine if I went through and actually dug down there versus 3 feet over, I bet we'd see a fair amount of tire compaction, which is why I'm going through and I'm repeating the same lines I've had in the past. So that's why some of this technology is really nice. And I'm down here, it's telling me it's not putting out the right rate of liquid, but signal down here, even with the ag leader equipment that I'm using, GPS signal is, yep, and you can see there's the next pass exactly where it needs to be. Didn't really have to slow down so much, I guess, but there, is that better? And right now here's our streams. And we got to get back up to speed here. This is the best part of the farm to spray. The upper lower bottom, flat, 20-acre piece. You can definitely see where the flood water was, where all of it's nice and green up to the hillside over there. Next year, definitely going to have to take into consideration, it's 80 acres for the rest of the farm. It's 40 acres down the bottom. Depending on if we think it's going to flood or whatever else, because I do say that I got really lucky not spreading my dry fertilizer down here this year. I got kind of unlucky in regards to the fact that I should have at least still planned on doing the upper part of the farm, the bench and the neighbor's place, because if the bottom floods, granted, the flooding wasn't so terrible, minus getting all the crud and stuff that floated off the river, but the armyworms and the frost damage, and it was delayed, I mean, as far as coming back, growth-wise, but hold on here, trying to multitask. I told myself I wasn't going to talk down here because of this. If it floods, at least it's getting nutrients from the floodwater, because that's clear as day exactly what it did. I can't believe for the rain that we had, which it wasn't a huge amount, I will say, but the issue we had is I think we were so dry the ground just pulled it in like a sponge, because I can't believe how powder dry the field is. We came down here 2 days ago and drove around everything, and seeing how much this has been affected, just, you know, from the lack of a steady rain on it, it's kind of surprising. Now the upcoming week, what I'm kind of watching for and looking out for is the fact that they're calling for rain pretty much for the next week. And other than it's time to make, what do I want to do here? Getting low, about 20 gallons, so maybe enough to get back in the rest of the farm. And I'm doing separate rates. The bottom itself down here is only getting, it's getting 20 gallons and 32 to the acre. The rest of the farm, different soils, different grasses, lighter, yes, is only getting 10 gallons to the acre. It's purely me trying to not chase bad money with good money. So I'm putting money down on the valley for sure. I mean, you can see clear as day. I mean, you can see the corn residue right where the floodwater was. So definitely think I'm gonna have at least a good second cut, I'd like to believe. That's why I went ahead and decided to go ahead and put the nitrogen down. But with the rain forecast that's coming and seeing how much the rest of this did green up, I feel like it's worth rolling the dice on it and hoping I'll at least get some return off of it. At least one more worthwhile cutting. I mean, I can let this stuff stand until September if I feel like I need to. But I do have the monitor set. You can see I got these little triangles down here where I'm missing. The monitor's turning on and off itself. It is set to reduce overlap. Now when we're planting corn, it's doing everything it can to make sure 10 gallons that. Yep. And like I said, I'm trying to multitask here, so pardon me if you don't have 100% of my attention. Go through, speed up. It's gonna freak out because we're going 60 gallons to the acre. We're gonna speed right back up to where we need to be, and there we go. The grass is light. I mean, when I say light, I mean it's sparse. Like for being grass, I don't like seeing that much of the ground. Letting it grow up and reseed itself, I've tried that. Basically every year that I've made this, the issue that I run into is that it just doesn't seem to help. I'm pretty much in the mindset that it needs to be tore up and reseeded down heavily. But I haven't quite decided if it's something I need to do all at once, if I need to break it up over multiple seedings. Like I have that 7 acres over there that I was talking about. That's actually greened up fairly well to the point where I'm willing to give it a chance. I did factor nitrogen for it, and I'm kind of leaning on seeing what it looks like at the end of the year and potentially even seed it after third cutting. You can come down, work it up, and seed it. I don't know, a lot of this is more or less just trial by fire, just trying to figure out what'll work best down here. I mean, if it was entirely up to me, I'd have gone through and the 2/3 of the farm that needs it, I would have gone through, tore up, and just reseeded. But it's what I took over. The previous operator seeded down grass and clover. Well, the clover is absolutely terrible if you're trying to sell, and the curb appeal of it is terrible because it turns black in the bale. So all the feed I was producing, even if it was done right, the clover just it turns black and doesn't look that great when it's sitting in an auction line. But I need to hop out and fill up because I hit that just about right. We're still running, and I just gotta pull right on up to the tanks here. Well, like I've said, actually one of the bigger surprises I got coming down here is 2 days we were down here with the four-wheelers, and yes, we had rain that morning. It was about 2/10, but we also had 1 inch and 3/10 a few days before that, so I thought moisture would be a little bit more abundant. I truly did, and I can't believe how much dust just you kick the ground, like out in the rest of the bottom or up on the bench. It is dust when you kick the ground. For reference, this is the lower part of the bottom. This is the 3 to 5 acres that I couldn't make for first cutting because it was still wet, it was still soft, and I just wanted to put boots on the ground and actually see how wet it is. And if you want to look, this is a pretty good sized crack right there, and it's actually full of them. and this is probably the lowest spot where the water will collect the most abundantly. I mean, as you can see where there's a lack of grass, because that's up through here, water is definitely standing. And I guess I can tune you in up on the upper side of the lower bottom. That is where the most water was standing. Now, even granted, here we checked it Saturday. Today is Monday, and yeah, that's a little tacky. A little, very little. And you know what? If they weren't calling for thunderstorms Wednesday, then rain, chances of rain Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then after that Thursday, Friday. Currently, I'd be down here cutting this. I mean, I gotta get done spraying my liquid nitrogen, or streaming it, I should say. But my goal for down here really was to make 100% of everything I can down here. Granted, this is still technically first cutting. I mean, this is just swamp grass, but there is, well, of everything that is left to cut, I'm standing in about the worst of it, as far as, you know, the why would you bale it stuff. Well, the rest of it's still first cut reed canary, and that's actually, if you can see it, that is what everything else should have looked like. When we cut first cut, down here, what, the 10th or 14th of June, first cutting was about 1/3 of the grass that's there. So you can sit and make an argument of, well, should we have just let it go? You know, let first cut go, and make it now, you know, only go for 2 cuttings this year, or try to switch your dates around. The issue I have with that is weather, because now that they're calling for more chances of rain, excuse me, you run the risk of the weather forecast turning wet, and then potentially pushes your first cutting back till mid-July. So then it's mid-July before you get your first cutting off, so the quality is just absolutely terrible, according to all the people that I sell to. Makes it that much harder to move it. Now, I could feed that out to my cows, but then you're putting a whole lot of what ifs into, well, am I going to have enough of a second regrowth to make up for not having a third cutting? Because like right now, I'm cutting as soon as I can in June. Then I'm going to cut the 1st of August. Ideally, these are, you know, these are with the weather conditions cooperating. And then go through and make a third cutting sometime the end of September. Let it grow up, do what it's going to do, and then generally look at third cutting as my cow feed. Because honestly, like the second cutting, the regrowth down here at the valley, I'll look at it quick. This stuff looks better than first crop ever did. But the armyworms are gone. We're not dealing with frost. I am watching like a hawk for grasshoppers, because I don't really feel like I've been down here that long, but I feel like I've seen an awful lot of variables trying to produce crop down here. So, for perspective, this stuff was made, we baled June 16th, it was cut. I'd have to go back and watch the video. June 10th, 14th, somewhere in there, I can't remember. I mean, I was so sick, I really didn't care to look at a calendar. But the regrowth is really, really nice. I mean, this will make some beautiful cow feed, to the point where, I tell you what, I'd rather keep it and feed it to my cows, but at the same time, I feed this stuff to my cows and I can't hardly keep it in front of them because they eat it like it's candy. So yes, first cutting, it's more like straw and stemmy. I mean, people generally don't want it. I've always been told, oh, well, you go through and you grind it up and you mix it in with a TMR mix to dull down a hot mix of cow feed. So even like the second cutting, I sold my second cut last year and the guy told me that's exactly where that was going. I'm sitting here going, well, it was my best dollars per ton that I sold last year was my second cut reed canary off the bottom. But my gosh, I can't tell you how much it actually does kind of gut check me when I'm being told that, oh, it's really not worth, oh, you guys blurry, sorry. It's not worth putting out for your beef cows. So that's unfortunate, but I'm here to make money. I chose a bad year to decide to grow my cow herd because I'm so down in numbers right now. Last year after first cut, I was over halfway to my total expected yield for the year, 700 bales, right? Well, first cutting only averaged 193. So I need pretty wicked awesome second cut and an above average third cut, which I don't expect. But as of right now, I'm doing all of the sugary goodness for putting down the nitrogen, and then I'm going to come back next Monday and apply a foliar. I'm really hoping I'm not worried about an insecticide, but I will do it because I can't afford to have the bugs eat this up. But it's not an issue right now where I'm sitting here going, I'm going to do it regardless. I'll come down this weekend, make a judgment on it. I'm seeing a few bugs, which is expected. I wasn't planning on doing a broadleaf, a herbicide, but the weeds down here on the lower 40-45 acres, or the bottom, the broadleaves are actually coming up a bit stronger than I really like to see. The bench ground and the neighbor's place, the broadleaves really don't come in that much. I mean, it's more clover than anything. But what I would really like to see is the bottom, the second cut, to be like waist high on me and no weeds. Cut it, bale it, tet it out, whatever I got to do, get it dry, get it hauled in, and either keep it for cow feed, which I will need to do because I need, on average, I figure 250 to 350 bales, depending on what I want to do as far as feeding them. That's kind of where I'm at right there. Going through about a bale a day, but of those bales per day, I'm only putting out 3 bales of grass, alfalfa when I got it, because I'll be making my alfalfa here at some point, second cut alfalfa, and then go through all the grass seed. Looks like bugs. Isn't it? I'm actually putting down fodder bale or a straw bale because I have a few straw bales left from last year yet where it was that new seeding wrap stuff. I had like 20 bales and I didn't start feeding it out until June. And what I'm really using it for, to kind of stretch out my grass hay, because what else am I going to use this stuff for? So I don't put it in the feeder and I just let the cows kick it around. And the last 2 times we've been doing corn fodder, same thing. And it just helps extend, it gives me that extra day. So I'm only feeding out 3 grass bales and technically like a bedding bale or a scrub bale. That's what this stuff is going to be. Not 100% of it, because some of these bales, if they're primarily grass, I'll throw it in the feeder. But like that swampy-ish looking swamp grass, that more broader stem stuff, I'll just let it out. They can lay on it, make it a fertilizer. I'll haul it back out and put it on the fields. I mean, everything gets used as far as I'm concerned. I got to be honest with you, it wasn't until I got down here and I actually went to go refill for the second time, where I actually was walking out away from the buildings and I was kind of kicking the dirt, and I mean, the ground's dry. I mean, for the amount of rain we got, the ground just sucked it in like a sponge. But then the wind and the heat we've been having, I mean, it's 95 and a slight breeze. It was today, it is yesterday, or was yesterday. It's supposed to get cooler and wetter, but I don't know if cooler and wetter is exactly what we want either, because it just seems like everything's slow to grow. The corn and the beans grew the most in the last 4 days since that rain. Then they've basically grown since they came out of the ground. And grass is kind of the same way. I mean, different grasses, you know, cool season, warm season grasses. Like this stuff down here, it's got moisture. Like, it's all rooted because it's such an established stand. It's got moisture. I mean, even the stuff out off the hood here. I mean, everything through here, from back there all the way up to the corner there, there's probably 15 bales there I can get made. I'll haul it home and I'll feed it, but it's what it's good for as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the ground is dry to where there's no water standing anymore. And even if it's annoying enough to where I'm gonna do one of two things. I bring the mower down, the New Holland rake down, and one baler, and I just get it made and get it made off, and I leave it stand, or I cut it in 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, when I make my second cut off the rest of it, so it's all uniform. And then, honestly, just spitballing off the top of my head here, maybe not looking at doing nitrogen on the bench ground, on everything else, but then coming down here and doing all of the goodies, the liquid streaming and then the foliar on just the bottom itself, because I honestly feel that the bottom has the most potential out of everything down here. It just does. I'm gonna get back to spraying, and I'll catch you guys later. So take care, take it easy, keep in touch. Not entirely convinced those are just grass seeds on me. I think the bugs are getting me. So, talk to you later. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you care to support the channel. I mean, it does help. Otherwise, we're just talking to, or I'm just talking to, I mean, honestly, just out of pocket of my long-term subscribers, which I really support. I'm really grateful for your support of the channel, because you know, it's my regular commenters that are commenting, which, you know, I see every single one of them. As far as new viewers, I think they're pretty well non-existent, and I guess that's just what it is. So I'll talk to you later.